certainly a pleasure to be here, and I'm enjoying all of the experience and seeing everybody's beautiful smiling faces. As Jill said, we connected roughly close to 3 years ago. I'm sure we've connected many lifetimes before that. But in this particular one, we share a common understanding of collaboration. And I can say from hindsight now, I think I was wired for collaboration in this lifetime from an early age because competition never made any sense to me. It took me many years to figure out why, but I think collaboration is my keynote in the correlation, of course, to love. So a little bit back of my backstory is that my father immigrated to the United States from Germany back in 55, sight unseen, lived with an uncle, joined the American Army, went to back to Germany, met my mother, had my sister, came to a little tiny corner of Arizona, down in the very bottom corner, had me, and I went back to Germany. So my background is European, so I have a great affinity to my European friends, particularly the UK. I'm currently in sunny Florida, Orlando. Our backyard is Magic Kingdom, Disney World, about 10 minutes away. That's where I currently reside. But I have a very strong base, I think, in my original cultural upbringing with the Germanic and then, of course, the European cultures. So I have that coupled with the American centric view, which kind of set me on, I think, my own path because moved a lot of times through the Army, went to a lot of different schools, did a lot of different things, primarily here in the United States. Uh, but from all of that, I kind of realized again in hindsight, I was a different, unique character in life. I kind of didn't beat to anybody's drum. I didn't even know what drum I was beating to most of the time. Um, I went ahead and after coming out of high school, I went and pursued my college degree, but I worked full time to pay my way through college. And I did that concurrently all the way through my master's degree in business. So my background is business administration. My last job iteration was a banker, a vice president of a bank location. I say all that because that coupled with a little um, additional experience, which I'll touch on again in a moment, is that in that time period of the 80s, my mother contracted illness, which eventually got diagnosed correctly as a certain type of cancer. This kind of sets the stage of why I started to do things differently because in 1990, I walked away from everything I'd known, full-time business, full-time school, and I started on a different adventure. I started to ask myself some deeper questions. And part of that was generated from my mother's experience when she was first um, going into a decline. They had misdiagnosed her with something that really was kind of terminal and not recurring, not something that she could go into remission for. But I watched my mother decline in such a way that I started to ask myself the questions, what does death mean? And I was kind of surprised by some of my own personal answers. My mother ended up having kind of a wake up moment. She woke up one day and said, I want to live. I can't say that she said any of these things directly, but she actually decided to go to the Mayo Clinic. If any of you have heard of that, it's a rather leading edge clinic here in the United States. And from there, she was diagnosed properly. And as she went forward, she ended up getting to cancer treatments that were kind of guinea pig back in the day, was interferon. And I kind of observed all this. I went to self-help support groups and I kind of noticed the interactions of patients and families. I noticed what happened when somebody got a diagnosis of an illness and they believed it. And if they were given 6 months, they were gone in 6 months. If they were given 6 months and they didn't believe it and they kind of stood in their own ground, they started asking questions. Many of them lasted a much, much longer time period. I can say this was mid 80s and my mother's still alive. Um, Part of that just kind of rocked my world where I started asking the inner end questions. You know, who am I? Why am I here? What's really going on? That began a journey. And that journey now has gone on for over 30 years. And part of that became that internal insights. I started to go in and ask myself, who am I? What am I here for? What's the real mechanism that unites us all? And it became an understanding of thoughts and feelings. I never realized I had any control over my thoughts and feelings. I didn't even know thoughts and feelings entered into the picture. So this was kind of my breakout moment. This was my understanding that I could actually pay attention to my thoughts. Most of us don't. Back in the day, I used to share that if we had 60 thoughts in any one particular moment, we probably were aware of maybe 5. And the trick is to turn that ratio around where you may not be aware of 5, because the powerhouse is in our thoughts, and the real powerhouse is then in our feelings. We create our reality through our thoughts and our feelings. Our thoughts are the instigator of where we want to focus our attention. And the more we have passion and feeling about something, the more it becomes our reality. I often say, like when I would go for my various degrees in college, it was very daunting when you start out, because you got, essentially I did them in 2-year stints, and like 2 years seemed to be a very long time. But by having that thought that I was going to complete college, it became more and more of a feeling, and it just kept carrying me through to the college. And then one day I was graduated. And this is how we do everything. The rooms we're sitting in, for example, at the moment, the chairs we're sitting in, before they were the rooms, they were resources. Before they were resources, they were thoughts, they were ideas. That building you're in was a blueprint by somebody, an idea that somebody had. And this becomes very important to understand how all of this connects, because we are creating our reality. We are creating every aspect. Now, we are seasoned and conditioned by many, many things. We're seasoned and conditioned by the world around us, and there's certainly predominant aspects that are a part of our life. However, the real truth is this moment is the only moment we have. This is the moment where we are physically, emotionally, mentally, and as we would say very generically, spiritually connected. So when we speak of breath, which is brought up already several times here, that breath is what unites us in this particular moment. Our breath is what brings us back to our personal power. These were never taught to me, not by my family, not by society, not by college, not by business. But what I found is by going within and actually exploring and letting my inner guidance, my inner intuition, my own higher self, as it were, go in and explore the deeper meanings, so much richness has come out of that. The key that really set off a new trajectory for me is, as I went through this awakening process, this understanding process, the one recurring theme that came up over and over and over again was love. And I just kept looking at it. It's like everywhere I turn, all our songs on the radio are about love, not necessarily uplifting love, but it's about love, often heartbreak or want or desire or lust or whatever. And then, in society, we say we love our car, we love our job, we love all these different aspects of our reality. And yet there had to be more. There must be more. There's absolutely more to this idea of love. I was not brought up in any particular strength of religious of a household, so I was given freedom to pursue whatever I wanted. So in this juncture, I kind of picked up a book one day of all the major religions, and I looked through all the major religions, 5 major ones, many ancillary ones, and it just kind of big tome, big thick book. And I finished the book and I put it down. I said, well, this is really interesting. Every major religion either had a master teacher or a master philosophy that had one single message. It was about love. There was no other message. Everything else that we create around that kind of defies that initial message. So I realized that love had to be an important aspect that we were not paying attention to, and that we had really created a cast-off word out of that. So I started to actually define love. I thought, well, what does love mean? And I went through a whole series of process of looking at love, the word, the way we tend to use it. Then I threw in this other word, which was unconditional. And I started looking at every time I thought of unconditional love, things changed. It's like I inherently understood love differently when I added the word unconditional in front of it. So I actually created a definition which is unique into its own right, because it's not what normal people associate with unconditional love. In fact, most of us will recognize, if we have any kind of connection to society and to spirituality or religion, whatever, we're supposed to understand unconditional love as the purveyance of some kind of a God or some kind of a messenger of God. Or those of us fortunate enough to have had our little canine friends, the dog. Apparently, the only two that can love us unconditionally is God and dog. And isn't it interesting, the reverse orders of their letters? This didn't make any sense to me. There had to be more. So I started to recognize that love was so much more than just the physiological, the romantic understanding. It wasn't just a cast off verb. It wasn't just like I love this or I love that. It was really something far, far grander. And the more I looked into it, the more I contemplated it, the more it became a realization that love was really a way of being. And when I added the word unconditional to the front of it, unconditional is to be without condition, to be without limit. So my definition is unconditional love is an unlimited way of being. That said, coming back to this now moment, this is the moment where everything is happening. The past is the past, it's a memory. The future is an imagination of potential. Everything we are experiencing is right here, right now. We are not trained this way. We are not supported this way. In fact, it's quite contrary for us to live more present in this moment. But it's a very strong understanding, because in this moment, my awareness understands that there are trillions of cells right now in my body doing trillions of things. Miraculous, magical, beautiful, brilliant, beyond belief. I don't have to do anything to make that happen. Trillions of cells doing trillions of things so that I can speak words to each of you right now in this moment. Couple that with billions, perhaps trillions of stars in galaxies, trillions of galaxies. Well, we're talking about some big numbers. We're talking about some big numbers inside our body. We're talking about some big numbers outside our body. Kind of start to realize that all this stuff that we make up about our reality is really inconsequential to the magnificence that each of us are. We have so lost sight of our own personal magnificence. This became my journey. This became what I decided to dedicate my reality was. I was going to explore unconditional love. If no one else was doing it, I was going to do it. Started writing out my thoughts, had some books, did some TV, enjoyed all of that, continue to enjoy that. And in 1990s when we started, and in 2000, hello, we're not kind of adding the numbers to that. In 2000, we actually launched the Love Foundation, which is our nonprofit. And it's hard to believe that it's actually been 21 years that we launched the Love Foundation. This is where we circle back to the whole collaboration idea, because I was wired with collaboration. It made sense to me. When I was in the business world, I did a lot of volunteering. When my mother had been diagnosed with cancer, I was very involved with various nonprofits, big ones, global ones. And I kept noticing things that just kind of like, where's the vision? Where's the mission? Where's the something other than fundraising? Where's something other focusing on problem? Where are we getting things accomplished by being there in collaboration? So when we launched the nonprofit that we did, we were very aware that we were going to dot our I's, cross our T's, make the Internal Revenue Service here in America very happy that we were a nonprofit. But beyond that, we were going to do everything differently. It's a giant organic experiment. And I say this because I come from the business world. I understand it all, do it all. I apply what I need to apply. And yet the exploration of life for me is how to infuse this moment and be a creator being, and to be one that is connected with all of humanity and beyond, where I recognize all of us are on this planet for a specific and special reason, because we're here to create. We're here to create our joy. We're here to create our happiness. We're here to create all the good things in life. Now, for many of us, that means we're leading edge, because the vast majority of humanity is not aware of this. I figured out a lot of it. I continue to figure out even more. But my joy is to actually share things like this through, for example, our Love Foundation. We launched the Love Foundation with a vision of inspiring people to love unconditionally. Had no idea how to answer that question. A couple of 2-3 years later, woke up one night and I had this whole idea of Global Love Day each May 1st. I thought, that's kind of interesting. Brought it up with my partner, brought it up with the board. Everybody loved it. So we launched Global Love Day for May 1st in 2004 as a celebration of our humanity, because we realized that we are not celebrating ourselves. We're not celebrating each other. We're celebrating war. We're celebrating religion. We're celebrating a lot of things, but we're not celebrating our humanity. So this is a core aspect of what we do here at the Love Foundation as a nonprofit. Global Love Day has now run 18 years. Every year is different. It's been an absolute joy to watch what happens, because we give ideas about what we starter seed suggestions of what people can do, but the real experience is what people come up with. Launching Global Love Day also made me instantly culturally aware globally, because I have been and wouldn't necessarily be American-centric, Western-centric. Launching something that went global, our first responses were out of African nations. We went global. We never saw ourselves small and grassroots. At least I never did. So I just went out global. I just started reaching out to peace organizations. This is 2004. We barely had internet web pages, we had no social media. So we went out and found peace organizations, Teachers Without Borders, places we could connect with people. And in that first year, we also went out to mayors, councils, governors, and we ended up with 14 proclamations citing Global Love Day for each May 1st. Fast forward 18 years later, we have 750 proclamations from over 250 cities, 30 governors. We have even a proclamation from the United Kingdom, Glastonbury. We have them from Canada. And these are all ceremonial documents, but they're all individual acknowledgements of this idea that we're sharing about celebrating our humanity. Everything we have done with the Love Foundation has been about collaboration as our focus. We do not focus on fundraising. We do not focus on money. We just allow that to happen naturally. So we take that out of our equation, because that's what really I stumbled across a lot with these big organizations, is that we needed to do something differently. We have all the official titles on our organization, but when you come to a board meeting, we have 8 board members. We actually have one from the UK. We have a whole contingency in the UK, by the way, of volunteers, and we're just one big circle. So we treat it every step of the way, every moment that we do what we do it from the standpoint of collaboration. And Jill, I don't think I probably even realize this, but on our webpage, we have a page for resources. In other words, other organizations, other groups that we have worked with and interacted with that we feel share the common vision of inspiring people to love unconditionally. And that page is actually called Global Collaborations. It has been for nearly 20 years. So I think we speak well on the topic of collaboration. Where we speak even deeper is the idea that it begins with me. So it is a celebration of our humanity, but it begins with me. It begins with me in this moment. I cannot fix anybody's world, won't even begin to try, no reason to, nothing to fix. We're all already whole and complete. We're all already magnificent beings. We just need to remember that. We need to remember our own creative ability, our own connection to our greater self, our whole self, our connection to our intuition, our connection to our love. We need to know that we're loved. We need to know that we're lovable, and we need to know that we're loving. So the real collaboration for me starts within. If we're not collaborating with ourselves, we're not going to collaborate with anybody else well. And if we're not collaborating with ourselves well, we're not going to collaborate with anybody well. So you really need to become your own best friend. We come into this world alone. We leave this world alone. We spend our entire life as a journey with ourselves. Now, I know that sounds contrary to everything you've actually understood or been told or experienced, but I defy it from one simple task. When you have somebody touch you physically, just put their hand on your arm. Are you feeling them or are you feeling yourself? You're feeling yourself. You're feeling the nerve sensations. You're interpreting that touch, which means everything from sex to the world we enjoy out there in the world, it's all our own personal feelings. So we really need to get very clear and in touch with ourselves. We need to really understand who we are and be okay with ourselves, because we are in fact okay. We are not broken. We have had lots of traumas, dramas, all kinds of things. But in this moment, we're healthy, wealthy, and wise. We're aware. We're connected. We're connected to everything. We're interconnected with everything. We are stardust. Remember those little billions of stars and billions of galaxies? Those supernovae that blew apart, sent their atomic structure out through the cosmos, became part of our solar system, became part of our Earth. We are birthed on this planet with all the atomic structure that came from the stars. So the atomic structure, the carbon, the base hydrogen, the oxygen, all of these things came from the cosmos onto part of the Earth. We're born from the substance of the Earth. We go back to the Earth. It's a much, much bigger picture. And that's what I love doing. Been doing it for 30 years. I love reminding people that you are magnificent, you're brilliant, you're capable. You may not have had the greatest past. You don't know what your future may hold, but you're the one in the driver's seat. You're the one that can be happy in this moment no matter what. You're the one that can be joyful in this moment no matter what. We are not predicated any longer on responding to other people's opinions about ourselves to judge ourselves by that opinion. We're here to acknowledge ourselves as brilliant, capable, courageous, strong, aware individuals. It's very simple, but we have had it so backwards. We are looking outside for love in all the wrong places. It's right here inside of us. Always has been, always will be. I can't prove it to you. You can't prove love. You can use electricity, but you can't say where it comes from. You only understand it because you know it. You know what love is. You know when you have those moments of connection. You know when love is present. And I encourage each and every one of you to explore more of that love within yourself, because when you do that, everything changes. I get up every day, have for 30 years, 31 years plus. I mean, I was a person 9 to 5, did everything that way. And for 31 years plus, I wake up every morning not knowing what my day will bring. John, my husband asked me this morning, so what you going to talk about? I said, I have no idea. It's going to be something about collaboration. However, because I understand what's going on and I tune into myself, it comes naturally because this is my life. This is my life, my way. Each of you have your lives your way. All things are possible. Anything can happen. The difference is, where's your vibration? Where's your mindset? Where's your feeling? If you feel good about yourself, good things will come. If you're focused on fear and doubt and worry and concern, you're going to bring more of that. It's as simple as that. In the early days, when I didn't understand my thoughts and I had 55 out of 60 running my life, I used a lot of negative criticism. When I realized I could choose differently, I became an observer. So I started to observe what I was thinking and feeling. The moment I did that, it gave me the opportunity to say, this is not how I choose to see myself any longer. I choose to see myself in a more capable way. And it's a journey. I mean, unconditional love became my foundation. I answered that question for myself. And do I get it right every day, every moment of every day? Absolutely not. At the same time, I have it as my foundation. I love myself unconditionally. Had to, understood it, got it. And perhaps in particularly my case, being of the Pride Month of this particular year here in the Western Centric, that's one of the reasons why I think I get it so clearly, because back in 1990, when I first came out, I risked absolutely everything. Now, for you straight people that are out there that have nothing other than straightness around you, we end up, don't always fully understand how difficult it was to risk everything back then. It's a bit easier now, not exactly everywhere, a bit easier. But I think that is actually a incredibly important aspect of why I do what I do. Now, we are not about the pride activity. I've been married to my husband 31 years. We are 24/7 within 10 feet of each other. We're very unique. The Love Foundation is very unique. What we do is very unique. We're also very global. We're very conscientious of each and every one of your hearts. We're very conscientious of the love that you have, that you carry, whether you see it or not. I only see your angelic self. I only see your soul self. I only see your pure potential. I don't see the personality. I don't see the stories. I don't see the past. I see your potential. Now, everyone has their own personal journey to step into. And it's stepping into it from this moment to this moment to this moment to this moment to this moment. It's right here, right now. So that's it, kind of in a nutshell. And I'm going to leave you all with the question I would like to propose, which is a bit of a whopper. And it may or may not be one you can answer at the moment, but it's simple. Do you love yourself unconditionally?